going to start out with a nice traditional boutonniere. It's just a really simple, trendy, I think it's trendy look with the ribbonizing. I think it's beautiful, but it is a classical look. But before we get started, I want Deb to talk about some wire gauges, because that's a really important thing for florists.
It's always confusing for them.
It
They
is.
usually pick this big Gigunda one here that's so thick. And I always say, you know, you're not hoisting an engine out of a car. Nice. These are flowers, people. So you want to use something more delicate and something that'll hold flowers together. But my choice is 24. So I would just get one box of 24 gauge wire in your shop and you're pretty much good to go with anything.
Yeah, that's what I use.
So I would use that. So it's just really important to get the proper gauge. The thicker wire I just use more for mechanics or something when I'm doing something to build something or hang something, I use that. But really...
kind of on bigger things, like not... Wouldn't you find, I wouldn't use that in a wedding bouquet to do a cascade or something.
No, 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 no.
I mean,
I would pretty much, again, 24 is what I would use, and that's it. It comes in this length, and then you're usually halving it, which we'll go into a little bit. The second thing we want to go into, or just talking about the tape a little bit, comes in different colors. And with this, you would use a color that would complement, a lot of times you're not even going to see it, as in this design we've taken and ribbonized the stem, so you can't even see the tape, but that lighter color would blend with that stem. I prefer to use the lighter color tape, but again, it's personal preference. That is my favorite. If I was
it's more
doing
natural, isn't
true,
it?
true,
Yeah.
and it looks like the stems. I mean, hold up the rose next to it here, and you can see how it blends with that. You know,
Yep.
a lot better. You know, there's your darker color. A lot of people use for like halos or baby's breath pieces the white tape. That's all in personal preference and what
Yeah.
you want to do. I still like this green for pretty much everything. If I am building something and I'm trying to put something together and it has a lot of brown branches or something in it in a design, I would tape my wire with this brown tape so that it will blend with the design that I'm doing. So always keep that in mind, that this is part of the design and it may be seen, so you want to complement and do something that will go along with the design, not something that's going to take your eye off and you'll be looking at that
It's all
instead
part
of
of
the
the
flower.
mechanics, right?
Exactly.
You always try to hide your mechanics, and you don't want everyone looking at this pink rose with brown tape. It doesn't.
And the
make
most
sense.
important thing in corsage and boutonniere work are the mechanics, more than any other floral arrangement.
More than any.
Even when you
Absolutely.
do flower competitions and you do body flowers, that's where everyone kind of fails.
Yes, that's true.
Because their mechanics, they're just not taught, and there were different ways we did in yesteryear that were bulky and big and heavy, and that's why people stopped wearing the flowers. Oh, I don't want to wear a big corsage, it's going to be, well, they don't have to be. So we're going to give you some perfect examples of how exciting and fun they can be without being heavy, and the perfect example of that is this first piece that we are going to do. And taping, also we've got to show how to tape. Taping is really, really crucial because you will see it, and it's got to be done properly. And it's really all about pulling.
Yeah.
You're going to...
it's not wrapping around the
some
the
people think it's a
wire.
decoration. You're kind of ribbonizing like you're doing with the ribbon, but you're not.
No.
You're going to pinch it really tight at the beginning, and then you're going to pull pretty tight. If you break it, don't worry, just go back. And then as you roll it, your thumb and your fingers kind of reinforce that and kind of embed it onto the wire, but you're pulling, and I'm pulling pretty hard. Mm-hmm. You're pulling and you're twisting at the same time. So you're pulling with one hand, twisting with the other, and it goes on there so smooth.
You're covering the wire a few centimeters at a time. You're not wrapping it around perfectly.
Now some people
Right.
do this and they're going round
and they round and round.
No,
No,
it's pretty much straight down
Yeah.
alongside the wire, but I'm pulling pretty hard, and that's what makes it so tight and make it look so pretty and clean. And there it is.
See, it does. It looks like that wire just came like that. And that is really important, just from what I've seen starting to do competitions and things. They will evaluate the heck out of the mechanics.
Oh, for sure. I know I do, since I do it all the time. I'm real picky about that when I'm judging something. This is with a full piece, and I'm just going to show you. It's a different color, but it's just so much fatter. I mean, even when I pull, again, you're pulling tape, but again, it's up to you, and it takes a little getting used to using that thin. You feel like you're doing it with nothing, and you're like, oh no, is this going to hold? But it really does work, and once you get used to the thin tape, you won't go back to using the full width. But it does make a difference in your thickness. I don't know if you can kind of tell that from the picture, but it really makes a big difference. And again, that's something that will let you decide what you want to do as the floral designer and the floral artist, but at least you do know that there are two ways that you can do this.
All
So
right.
we're going to have Heather
So
start
we're
by
going to start
showing-
with the traditional look. And basically, when you're cutting this, don't cut it like way down here. I see it happen all the time where florists will leave like 3 inches of stem. There's just absolutely no need for that. It's about a thumb width that you need to cut it. All right, even a bit shorter than that. All right, so it's quite a short little thing. So You don't want to have what I have technically deemed it the fatty wad, which is like this huge.
That's technically.
Is that technical?
That's technical for sure.
So you don't want a huge, huge stem that they're going to have to stick all this tape through and such. So take your wire, and you don't need a whole bunch. You just basically put it through the calyx.
And what you're doing is using a half a piece of wire and only a little bit you're going to put down there. There you go.
You don't need, the most common thing I've seen is florists will take the wire, they'll pull it halfway through and pull both sides down. You really don't need to do that. Just about a
Then you'll have two pieces of wire down to tape, and that makes it bulky. So this is a lot more delicate and beautiful.
Much cleaner, right? You want a nice thin stem down here, all right? And then I'm going to use the half tape because I'm more comfortable with that, and I think it looks prettier because I like the thin look. You really want to make that wire just basically look like it's the rose stem.
And when you started, notice that Heather started with the tape right where the wire is. That's where you start taping because you want to cover that wire.
Cover it up.
It's very important.
So important. Again, that goes back to really having good mechanics because it makes you look like the professional.
That you are.
That you are. That's right. All right.
I feel like you're doing it backwards. I'm left-handed, she's right-handed. I'm thinking she's doing that backwards.
Yeah, I guess that's true, eh? Why is she doing that wrong? All right, so now I'm just got it all the way down. Okay. I'm just going to put a little more on the top because I can see my wire and that's going to bug me.
Yeah, sometimes at the beginning, you know, it's a little bit thick there where that stem is, so you'll have to go over just the top part a couple of times.
Just the top part.
And then you stop because you don't want, again, it to be bulky and to have extra wire or extra tape on that wire that is not necessary.
The fatty wad.
Yeah, the fatty wad.
We don't need the fatty wad. All right. All right, so that's just wiring taping. I also just double check, make sure you cleaned your rose, everything looks good, take off the ugly petals. Because again, this is something that's going to be in, especially if it's a wedding, it's going to be in every photo and everything that you do.
And it's the one thing that'll make them start scrutinizing over the rest of the wedding.
Oh, yeah.
I see a bad petal. Is everything else bad? So it's really important to make sure your flowers are in perfect condition when they go out, and sometimes it's just as simple as removing one petal. So
yeah, but isn't that, I mean, already that just to me looks so pretty.
Yes, it does. Remember, this is the one you'll be doing the most. Yeah. Most people for weddings or any occasion want that single rose boutonniere. So this is the proper way to execute that.
All right, so now that we have this wired, we need to talk about the baby's breath. Because quite often I see florists, I'll come in, have baby's breath all the way around this thing, and you can barely see the rose. And
exactly.
It's like, would you like a rose with your baby's breath?
Yes.
Right? I mean,
it's definitely filler overkill.
It is, really. When you do baby's breath, what I think is the prettiest, personally, is just taking little bits and clustering it together. You don't need, but you want it nice and even, that's what I'm trying to say.
There
so
you
don't
exactly.
you don't have like a sprig like that
exactly.
where it's all just sort of comes out and
right, no leggy pieces sticking up in the
no
air.
Leggy
it's
pieces,
like a piece of your hair in the wrong direction or something.
Exactly. It's just really annoying.
Yeah, we'll keep you all in.
Would you mind? Yeah. Do I look okay?
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Great.
All right, so that's all I'm doing is just putting it nicely together so
it kind of looks like its own little bouquet.
Yeah, it almost looks like one stem.
It is.
Right?
Looks great.
So what you do now is you're just going to take it and add it to the front. You don't need to add it all over the place, right? You're just going to add it to the front because they don't need it on the back. And when you tape it, it will sort of just spread out a little bit nicely the way you want it. Oh, I don't want to do that yet. I'm getting all excited because I just think it's so pretty. We want to add the green. I like using Soleil. You can use Italian Ruscas. You can use
so many different
foliage.
You know why Soleil is so good? You know why I love it? And you love it and you don't even know why.
Oh, I know.
It is the one that mimics the rose
That's
foliage
what I was gonna say.
the best. It looks like a piece
petal.
of rose,
a rose
foliage.
leaf, yeah.
Exactly. So, but it's sturdier and hardier. So that's why it always looks the nicest.
Yeah, I love Soleil, especially with the roses. All right, so now I'm just putting that on the back, and most of us are going to tape, but we're going to cut. And there we go. Now, because you don't want all these gangly little things. You're not going to have this all wired down again with the fatty wad.
Thick and bulky, exactly.
Right? We don't need that, so we're just going to cut it.
But be very careful that you're not cutting your wire.
Yes, because now the wire looks like with that beautiful green, it looks like all the other colors, doesn't it? But when you cut it, make sure you're still able to actually hold your flowers.
Gosh, you're going to cut it.
Oh, see, I almost did. Holy cow.
It looks so good. You can't even tell.
I know, you really can't. And all right, we're just going to do a binding point. We're not going to, again, tape all the way to the bottom. We're just doing what is called a binding point to literally hold it together and bind it together.
Exactly. I mean, it couldn't be simpler. Years ago, you would take that little cluster of baby's breath and you would wire it and tape it. and then you would take that piece of foliage and you would wire and tape it. Then you would take a netting, or who knows what we were doing, and you would wire and tape it. So imagine, and then you'd put all that on, and you wired and taped each piece individually. So by the time you had one rose, you had 5 or 6 other elements taped, and the stem of it was so thick and so fat, no wonder people wanted to quit wearing them.
Yeah.
We got all mechanically crazy there.
The stem is bigger than the rose.
Yes, so it's kind of a bad thing. So
Anyways,
this is a simpler way to do it.
And from here, I'm going to actually, Deb's going to show you how to ribbonize the stem part. But if you didn't want to ribbonize it, you want to do something trendy, you could do little triangle shapes, you could do squares, you could do the curl.
It's called wire sculpting, and you're creatively using that wire that you've already got, where you could even just take it and do something, you know, with just a nice curve to it, and you would cut it to, again, you need to do it in the proper proportion. Or like Heather says, you can do a tendril, which you can just wrap around your finger. Some people go get pencils and pins and get all crazy, but my finger's just as good. And you can have just a cute little tendril with it that makes it really easy. Or, as you were saying, you know, triangles, or there's so many different things, which we'll show you some of that later. But we're going to just do a simple ribbonizing that just looks very elegant, like the one that you see in the frame, or that you've seen in the frame.
I love ribbonizing. It just, I don't know, it finishes it off so much better.
That's exactly right. It's like the finishing touch. All right, so we've got, I love to use a sheer ribbon. I feel like it complements and is a nice accent to the design, and not something that's overpowering where you're just going to see, oh, ribbon.
Yes,
so you still want that beautiful rose to be your focal. So this is just something that's an accent, but this is the way you do it. You're going to take a piece of your ribbon at the end of your wire, so you've got your flower upside down, and take just a piece and put it over, and then you're going to come around and just keep twisting and twisting and twisting. And the end's kind of cool too, how you end it up, where it's, again,
nice,
you don't need any
looks tidy.
Mechanical, no gluing, no. And then you're simply going to pull it through.
It's like tying a little knot.
Isn't that cool? And you're just going to pull. And I made this a little bit too short. I do it twice, just for extra measure. And that's it. So you're just going to pull that right up there. And then you can just snip the end of that right off without snipping off everything else. So
like your finger.
Cut that right off. And there you have it. It's just so simple.
And very quick, which is good, because time is money, as we all know. So.
And then you'll use, again, your finishing spray. Don't forget to place that boutonniere pin in the flower. So you just take, again, there are different size pins. Your boutonniere pin is the smaller head pin. You don't need something huge. The corsage pins, the point is even longer, and that's too big. You don't need that. And you just simply place it right in the stem so that your customer can see it. Your client will be able to see that pin and not wonder where it is. So I always just kind of pierce it right at the binding point, and then you're going to spray it with your finishing spray and place it into your bag, and off you go. But it's really just the simplest, cleanest, easiest way. It's lightweight because you've done proper mechanics. You didn't wire and tape every element. You cut off a lot of the little stems.
Yeah.
And all these elements are really important if you can remember each step. And then once you start making your first few, the rest you won't even have to think about it. You'll just be used to doing the mechanics that way, and it'll come easy to you.
And have fun with it, and be creative, and but don't. It's a very simple look. Don't overkill it.
Yeah, you don't have to go crazy. And again, even with this, you can bend it into that little tendril. You can still bend it because you do have the wire as your mechanic underneath, and do whatever makes you happy.
Yep.
Sometimes the brides now, they're so particular because of all the magazines, everything online that they see. They go to all this and they're like, and I want 3 little buttons down here and a little beetle bug over there. And, they have specifics, and I want it straight, or I want it curled, or I want it into, something $1 million. They want things specific that they're asking for. So they pretty much are telling you, so you need to be up on that and know what they're talking about. Exactly. Okay. That's awesome. I hope you enjoyed that one. Simple, and we can't wait to see your first traditional rose boutonniere.